I think that I'll start the meeting. We do have a quorum. So I'd like to call to order the September 9th meeting of the Urbana Human Relations Commission. Can we have a roll call, please?
Carol Bradford, Stacy Burnett,
Stacy, you need to unmute.
Stacy.
There's Daniel. Great.
I think Stacy
I
is
asked
here, but she is muted, it looks like.
Does that count as present or absent?
Well, you can put it off until we go around the rest of it.
Okay.
Florence Kaplow,
Present.
Daniel Larson,
Here.
Yay.
Peter Resnick,
Here.
Francis Regberg.
Here. Okay.
Sorry, I'm here.
Stacy looks unmuted now.
She is still unwilling to. Oh,
I'm here. I'm sorry.
oh, great. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. I need to read the statement. Due to the governor and mayoral emergency orders, the Urbana City Council chambers will not be open to the public during this meeting. Commission members will meet remotely using Zoom webinar. Anyone can watch the meeting on streaming services, UPTV, or attend virtually via Zoom webinar. I, Fran Ruberg, am in the council chambers tonight. We will also have all votes by roll call in accordance with these rules. I'd like to welcome Elizabeth, who's new to me, and also Florence, our new members. Very happy you're here. We've lost Lisa and Lolita, and of course Vasilia. So it's been, yes.
And I was going to say, just to clarify, I'm not a member. I'm your staff.
No, but you're one of us, one of the team. Very important part. So welcome new members. And our first item of business, we do have a quorum. Our first item of business will be the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I second.
Moved by Pete and seconded by, I'm not sure who said that.
Stacy.
Stacy. All in favor, say aye. Oh, we have to have a roll call. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And Tamara, you're
Elizabeth,
muted.
yeah.
Stacy Burnett,
Here.
Florence Kaplow,
Is this aye or nay?
This is aye or nay, yes.
Aye.
Daniel Larson,
Here.
Peter Resnick,
Aye.
Francis Regberg.
Here, aye. Okay, we have an agenda. We move next to the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was July 8th.
I move to approve.
Pardon me?
I'm sorry,
I
but
believe you cut out there for a second, but I think that was a motion for approval.
Okay. Anybody second that?
I'll second.
Okay. So we have motion by Daniel, second by Pete for the approval of the minutes of our last meeting. And then we'll have a roll call vote.
Stacy Burnett,
Present.
Just say, yeah,
Aye.
aye. That's great. Okay.
Florence Kaplow,
Abstaining, since I wasn't here.
Daniel Larson,
aye.
Peter Resnick,
Aye.
Francis Regberg.
Aye. The minutes have been approved. Okay, we next move on to public participation. I see none. So we will move.
It looks like we do have one, Fran. Christopher Hansen has
I
his
don't
hand
see
raised.
I don't see it, but I'm not seeing it.
You have to switch to the attendees panel from the
Oh,
panel.
I see it. I see it. I'm sorry. Okay, Christopher, please address the commission. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Christopher Hansen. I've lived in Urbana for 18 years. I've been speaking at your meetings regularly now, and I just want to remind you and everyone listening that your board is not meaningful or effective to the residents of Urbana. Francis Rigberg said at your last meeting that your board has solved many complaints successfully. I think you have no idea what you're talking about. Just because the corrupt Vasilia Clark gives you little clips of stories now and then, that does not mean that everything is working correctly or even close to correctly. You have no idea how many people have tried to submit complaints but were turned away by the corrupt Vasilia Clark, and you have no idea what the satisfaction level is for complainants who have made attempts. You have no idea because you refuse to audit yourselves, because you find the idea to be inconvenient and uncomfortable. At your last meeting, Rigberg said that my complaint, which I appealed, was investigated by James Simon. That's a lie. City Attorney James Simon tried to tell me the same lie, or tried to tell the same lie at the informal hearing. My complaint was not investigated by your commission or by James Simon. There was someone who did investigate my complaint, and that person was me. And it turns out that Vasilia Clark was discriminating. And to the extent that City Administrator Carol Mitten investigated, she also found wrongdoing by Vasilia Clark. And I have dozens of letters indicating that truth. And Elizabeth Hannon, since she's here, can also easily verify that truth. So my complaint was investigated. It's just that your useless commission forced me to do all the work. Luckily, it seems that we've gotten rid of Clark as a result of my efforts, so other Urbana residents won't have to suffer the same mistreatment. Your silly notion that my complaint was not in your jurisdiction is meaningless garbage. It is written directly in your ordinance that the human rights laws apply to governments and their agents. You just don't want to recognize that because you're corrupt and you just want to protect your corrupt friends. And I believe Pete Resnick and Marion Knight came to the same conclusion when they issued your votes, which not a single person from the public can make any sense of that. So the complaint is well within your jurisdiction and the meaning and intent of your ordinance. You just refuse to recognize it. Your general posture that it is too uncomfortable for your board to be looking into discrimination within the Urbana government is terrible and wrong. As human beings, it is our responsibility to keep the people closest to us in check. This includes our friends, family members, and coworkers. Your board is saying effectively that you don't have the moral fortitude to question the actions of the people around you. And if you're saying that, then you're broken in your position on the Human Relations Commission, and you're almost certainly broken in your duties to your family and friends for the same reason. And also at your last meeting, Rigberg said, "We are not the CPRB, don't lump us in with them." This is a terrible thing for the chair of the Urbana Human Relations Commission to say, and ignorant to boot. It is written directly into ordinance that the Urbana Human Relations Commission shall work with the CPRB to anticipate and prevent problems. Even if it weren't written into ordinance, which it is, what a crappy attitude from someone who is supposed to be a community leader to effectively say this isn't our problem, go away. You should feel ashamed, and if this is your attitude, I think you should step down from your position as chair so that someone with more integrity can lead the commission. So I'm looking at your agenda here, and I guess you're just going to probably go ahead and ignore all the problems that are directly in front of you and keep talking about your silly publicity campaign, because apparently your image is more important than your integrity. I guess I'll just keep doing my job as a good citizen and continuing to warn the residents of Urbana about the uselessness and impropriety of the Urbana Human Relations Commission. And I'll see you at your next meeting.
Okay. Okay, any other public input? Don't think so. Okay. We move on to unfinished business. I'll start by saying that our billboard is not up anymore. That was just a 1-month thing, but I did get in touch with Adams and I found out that it cost us $350 and it was just for 1 month. That billboard was made, was a single-use sign, but for $100 more, $450 for the first month, you can have a billboard that is thicker and it's reusable. so that thereafter, any months that come thereafter, it only costs $175 a month to have that billboard up. And so that's good information for us if we want to do that. So like to take us to the end of the year to have a billboard of the kind we had for a month would cost us a total of $800. So that's our data on that. As far as the MTD is concerned, I have some interesting news about that. Our tail sign on the bus is still up, and the signs within 15 of the buses are still up, the interior cards. But the MTD is no longer using an outside company to create its advertising, so they're doing it in-house, which means it's a lot less expensive to us. The prices are significantly lower. For example, we paid for having this tail sign and the interior signs for 3 months. We paid a total of $1,750. We can have the tail sign and the interior cards on 90 buses till the end of the year for only $395. And that sounds good to me. So that's something I'd like to open up discussion about, because I believe that would be a cost-effective way for us to get the message out to people that if they suffer, particularly if they suffer job or housing discrimination, that they can call us and have somebody look into that. Would anybody like to discuss this?
I have
Yes,
a question. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead, Stacy.
Go ahead.
I was just curious, have we seen any increase in numbers since having the boards, the billboard and the posters displayed?
Well, before Vasilia left, she indicated that we did. But now, Elizabeth, I believe you're answering those calls, and perhaps you weren't asking about that. Did you get any feeling about that from your taking of input?
No, I didn't understand that you wanted to know that each time we had contact. So yeah, I can fill you in, and I think you want me to do that under staff reports on the number of contacts we've had over the last month. But as we discussed today, I will start asking them how they came to contact us.
Okay.
So gauge how successful that is. I might make one suggestion though, if it's okay.
Certainly.
So at this point, based on Vasilia's advice, a lot of these contacts are getting referred either to HUD for housing complaints or to IDHR for employment complaints, unless the only thing she advised was if they were in a protected class that's covered by our ordinance but not covered by their law, then we would find somebody to investigate. But because we're so short-staffed, you might want to consider whether, if you re-up the advertising campaign, to do that at a time when we're fully staffed, and then we can have somebody on staff can have more personal involvement.
Right. Well, even if we are forwarding or referring these complaints out, the people out there who are seeing these signs, who may be having these problems, don't know about the short staffing, and they may still call. Right. And I think it would be good to say, well, how do you know about us? In any case, that is a factor to consider in terms of our continuing with this ad campaign. But I think it'll still be interesting to see if they say that. Along the same lines, Daniel Chenoweth with the township is also going to have signs in the bus, and they're going to look a little different, but they're concerned with the same issues. And I'm going to show everybody that. Hold on a second. Wait a second. I'll show you her sign. It isn't finished yet, and it's got lots more information on it. It's one of those signs that people, if they're riding inside the bus, would sit and read all the details. Ours are a little more focused. Now, how do I share this? Oops. Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes, certainly.
Is there information out on the decrease in ridership on the buses? Because my sense is it's pretty significant.
That's true too.
So
Yeah.
tail is something, yes, the buses are still moving around town, but my sense is that they're moving around pretty empty.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can everybody see this poster that I've?
Yeah, that looks fine.
Okay. Our number is way down in the corner, but it is very complete in terms of informing people of areas that they could be discriminated against. So it's powerful in that way. And I worked a little bit with her on this. This has some of my feedback in it. And this is like a draft that's going to go to a designer that she has on staff to maybe make it a little more effective, but this is the content. So I wanted to share that with everybody. I think it's great that she's doing that. It just adds to the messaging.
So given both Florence's and Elizabeth's comments, is there, so you were talking in terms of continuing the billboard to the end of the year, and
Right.
is there some way to delay it so we get the extension perhaps later?
Well, as far as the billboard is concerned, that's a standing offer that's available to us.
Gotcha. It's end of the year or nothing. That's
It's fine. We don't have to do anything.
right.
If we decide to, we can pay $450 and have the reusable vinyl, and $175 a month for as long as we want to do it.
Got it.
That's
So we
what they have
can
available.
get the reusable vinyl and then put it up later if we decide to put it up later. Okay.
Yes, yes.
And then for the bus ads, the same question
Mm-hmm.
can be, put in a hiatus for some period of time until we think both we have staff to receive those calls and a little more ridership where it might be more effective so that more people see it.
Now there it's a little different. There I think they are trying to, it's kind of a special rate right now. It's a little less than it may be in the future, but I have a feeling it's definitely not going to be as high as we originally paid because it's in-house. They have the art. We can make small changes to the art. We can make it say job instead of housing or whatever. That's fine. So I think that both of them could be paused without any real problem. But I just wanted to get the information out there. And in fact, I can write this up and send it to everybody so we have it as a reference.
So I have no concerns making a motion, actually assuming Elizabeth says that the budget is probably there. I have no concerns making a motion for let's go ahead with the vinyl and budget the amount and start it at a later date, when we can either pick one or just delay that, but so the budget already exists. But Elizabeth, how do we work with the budget if we want to do that?
Well, I can tell you right now, I think the budget is sufficient to do both of those things.
Okay.
I didn't, apparently you normally get, somebody prepares a separate budget, which is a subset of our HRO budget, and I wasn't aware of that, so I didn't prepare it.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay. So is that a motion, Pete?
So, and let me be clear on what the motion is. The motion is to allocate $475 to make a new vinyl billboard.
$450.
$450.
That includes mounting it.
Ah, got it.
Okay, so it'll go up for 1 month if we do that.
Okay.
But thereafter, it's
And
only
then
the
an
mounting.
additional $350 to put up that billboard at later dates to be determined. Is that what you're looking for?
That would be great as far as the billboards go, yes.
And then additionally, how much was the ask for the MTD?
The ask for 3 months of production and mounting of the tail panel and and many more interior cards than we've had in the past, was at just under $400.
So
It may go up slightly.
Right. And
I
so
would say
then,
like $500 would.
right. So then additionally, so we've got the 450, the 350, and then $500 allocated, but not yet to be spent on the MTD bus advertisements.
Okay.
So moved.
So that's $1,300.
Total.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have a second for that motion? Or, yes, a second.
I'll second.
Hi, Carol.
Hi. I was
I'm
a
so
little
glad you're all
hesitant since
here.
I came on late, but I think I got the gist of it, so I'll second that
Okay.
motion.
Okay. We're budgeting some money to go ahead with the PSA a little more, but taking a pause, except possibly we'll have a billboard up for a month because of the COVID situation.
And our lack of staffing.
And our lack of staffing, which is
A quick
related.
question, Peter.
Yeah.
So we're really only allocating the money to create the vinyl billboard for right now.
Right. The 450 is going to create the vinyl and put it up for a month because it comes as a package.
Right.
Right.
And then we're going to have the additional 1,300 minus 450 for doing the MTD and billboard campaign in the future when we determine.
Yeah.
Just because just the uncertainty of the times, and we might eventually not do that as well. Is that possible?
I
Yeah.
suppose, but you know, had to have the money allocated so
Okay.
that, you know, if we want to go ahead with this in January and
Gotcha.
whatever it is, we're good to go.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we have a second. Pete moved, Carol seconded. We'll have a roll call vote. Sorry.
Carol Bradford,
Yes.
Stacy Burnett,
She's muted.
Yes.
Florence Caplow,
Yes.
Daniel Larson,
Aye.
Peter Resnick,
Yes.
Francis Rigberg.
Yes. The motion carries. Great. I have a question, however, about our billboard, since we're going to go ahead and have one made that we can reuse. The current one, let me get this out here. I'm going to share this what the current one says on it. Whoops, can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what we had. Now, they're going to make a new one. This one has been disposed of. It's an opportunity to change it a little bit if we want to. We could, for example, have this one say job discrimination. Is there any, let's discuss that. Does anyone have any ideas or feelings about that, changing the content? Pete?
I am
Right.
absolutely willing to abstain. I think changing it to job is fine. I think remaining the same is fine. I think if you wanted to even generalize and just making an end to unlawful discrimination, period, that's also fine. I'll
Okay,
leave
yeah.
it to the more creative among us.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misread my screen. Yes, Florence.
Could it say both? Since those are the kind of primary areas, right, of focus of the Human Relations Office. I mean, imagine an end to unlawful job and housing discrimination.
Certainly. In fact, that's what we have on our buses, our bus ads, which I will go back.
I mean, if it's going to be reusable, it might as well cover the bases.
Yes.
If you were doing a new one, you know, then it'd be interesting, like change out the colors and have a different thing. But if it's like, it's a lot of vinyl.
No, yeah. Okay, let me take a look at the bus thing. I just want to show you for, let's see here. I'm sorry. Here we go. Okay. There it is. You can sort of see it. Okay. Can everybody see the bus sign? It says denied housing
No,
or
you
a
didn't
job.
swap the windows. You need to bring
Okay,
the
I'm sorry.
in front of the billboard window. Or perhaps close the
Oh,
billboard.
I see. I'm sorry. I'm not really used to this. Let's see. There we go. And you share. There we go. Can everybody see that?
Nope.
We're still seeing the billboard.
Oh, okay.
What you might need to do is stop your share
Stop share.
and
Start
then
it again.
yeah, start again and then
Okay.
click on the correct photo.
There we go. Do people see that?
Not yet.
Oh, brother. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Okay, sorry, I didn't double click. Okay, that, see, just for Florence to see that we did do something like this on the bus advertising. Okay, I kind of like the idea of just saying, imagine an end to unlawful discrimination without specifying.
Can we say
Lauren?
imagine ending job and housing discrimination?
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yes, Carol.
Yes, I'm concerned if we use it to leave it general, then people won't know what they're, we won't get any calls because they won't know for sure what we're talking about. So I think saying job and housing gives a little
Okay.
bit more of a clear.
Okay, so we can.
That was exactly what I was going to say. Just seems like, end discrimination. It's kind of like, why bother making the phone call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Very good. So there's a consensus here that we will change it slightly to refer to both job and housing.
I have
Yes.
a question.
Yes.
Is there, like, there was that great, thing that the township was putting together. Is there a web page that sort of lists out those same things for the ordinance, so that, like, you could actually have a web page address? Like,
Yes, we have a pamphlet that has all that, and we considered putting a web page address on there, and we just didn't want it to be too crowded. But we could try again.
if you can have a really simple URL, I mean, obviously it's a long thing, it's not going to work. But if it's,
Right.
I know, for those of you who don't know, I'm minister of the Unitarian Church in town, and we see people, our little website address is up there at our sign. We see people on their phones checking it right outside the building, right? So of course you don't want people doing that when they're driving. But maybe it's more relevant for buses really than a billboard. But I love that, just really concise, like, here are the areas of discrimination and here are the.
Well, we could even have
I'm sorry. I'm sure if we talk to Jason or other folks in the IT end of things, they do have those shortened URL forms where, you know, urbanaillinois.us/HRC or something like that, where it's something relatively easy to remember. I think we can probably get them to come up with something like that.
Mm-hmm. And we can have new designs in the future as well that are more, cover more ground, especially for inside the bus when people are sitting. I think that's a good opportunity to say more. Yes, Carol.
So I was just going to add too, if I'm driving by and I see something on a billboard, I'll snap a picture
Mm-hmm.
and then enlarge it, and I can then later, and I think a lot of people do that. So I do think we live in a digital world. It would be really good to have something in addition to the phone number.
Okay. That's all good input. Pete, do you think we require a motion to just, with regard to the content of the sign?
I think, you know, right now you've got a sense from folks of what we want. I think probably you need a more substantive proposal, you know, like here's what we think we should go forward with, and then bring that back next month for a vote and to go ahead. Or, you know, we can even set up a quick online meeting if need be to do that.
Right. As a matter of fact, the fact that we're not in a rush to do this, we can take advantage of that time to have some, maybe more than one good idea that we'd like to see go up when things become a little more normal inside and outside. Okay. Any more on that? Any more comments or discussion? Okay. The next item is the discussing changes to the HRC ordinance with regard to our jurisdiction. And Pete.
So Dan and I have both had relatively complicated months this past 2 weeks. So we haven't gotten any further than what I think I presented at the July meeting. We're gonna try and work through, you know, the simple changes to deal with the issues that came up during our last appeals hearing. And also one of the broader issues is coming up with language, and I you know, realize that whatever recommendation we are making to the mayor and the council as to for changes to the ordinance, and they can choose to accept them or reject them. But I think our plan is to come up with ways for the ordinance to say, yes, the city staff folks are subject to the ordinance, and ways for it to say, no, they are absolutely not, but be clear about it, because part of the problem with the current, the last hearing was that was an open question, whether, you know, you could bring a complaint against the city or a city staff member. I think there are ways to accomplish doing so if the city council chooses to do so. And I think we're going to come up with a proposal that if you want to go forward and have that be available, here's some text. If you would prefer to make it clear that that is not available, here are some other text to change. And then the few other definitions and problems that we've encountered so far, we've got some proposals for, which I think I shared. And that's where we are. So hopefully next month, Dan and I will have a little breathing room, and we'll get a proper proposal together for you.
Very good. Anybody have any questions for Dan and Pete? Okay.
I have a quick
Yes,
question.
yes.
Just, I was trying to kind of read through the ordinance.
Always a fun time.
Yes, ordinances are so fun to read. And I remember when I had the, you know, meeting with Cecilia and Mayor Marlin about it, they said that the city was exempt, police department, parks department, you know, pretty much all the public agencies, and I think one of the hospitals. Is that, I didn't see it in the ordinance. Is it in the ordinance somewhere and I just missed it because I was just looking quick?
So not the hospitals, any city service. So anything that is a government agency, it is absolutely clear that government agencies other than the city are absolutely exempt from the ordinance. So we can't bring a complaint against a state agency. We can't bring a complaint against the university because
Oh yeah, university was one of the things exempt,
because
right?
it's a state agency for all intents and purposes.
Right.
The problem is that the ordinance is ambiguous. There's a section down at the bottom which says something about governmental agencies. I could get you the reference if you like, and says other than the city of Urbana, these things are exempt. But it doesn't quite say that. And I've gone through a little history of the ordinance, and I'll present that in, Dan and I will get that together, but we'll present it in the report. Originally, you could absolutely go after the city with a complaint in the original ordinance from 1975. And it got whittled back in weird ways, and no one ever cleaned up the language properly. And so it's not clear. There's places where it simply sounds like, yes, you could go after no governmental agencies except for the city. And one way or the other, we need to clarify that. And I think for as long as I've been on the commission, the assumption has been that you can't go after the city with a complaint.
Or parks or anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, parks, other governmental agencies, it is crystal clear you can't go after them.
Right. What I see here is the provisions of this article shall not apply to other units of government, including the federal government or any of its agencies, the state of Illinois, and any other political subdivision, municipal corporation, or their agencies.
That's
which
right.
does sound like it includes the city.
Well, except what is
municipal corporation?
The big question, and this came up during the hearing, is what does other mean at the beginning of that sentence? Other than who?
Right. Well, that's the thing that probably didn't get cleaned up, right? Because they were intending to not include all those.
Right.
I'll just tell you that my first response when I heard that it didn't include any aspect of the city government or the university was, well, that's mostly where people are employed. So you're left with kind of small businesses and Carl.
Right. I mean, Carl and OSF are both covered, as is Christie. All of the businesses in town, including the big ones, are all covered. The university, there is pretty much no way. If we started down the path of trying to go after a state agency of any sort, I'm sure we would end up in court very quickly.
Right. No, and they've got their own processes.
That's right. The problem really with the city is that there's a basic conflict of interest in the procedures, because the procedures assume that it is either the human rights officer or the city attorney who will bring the case. It's not the complainant versus the respondent. It's not Joe Smith versus Mary Jones. It's the city of Urbana versus Mary Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And if Mary Jones turns out to be the city, that's the city of Urbana versus the city of Urbana. And
right.
Practically, it's not clear how to do that. So we would have to introduce language for a special prosecutor or something like that, which we've had in the past. The city has hired external counsel for cases in the past. So we could come up with a method to make this work, and there were methods in the old ordinance that made it work. But it would be complicated and it would be tricky. So I think Dan and I are sort of taking the task of, we're going to come up with a proposal that if you wanted to make it work, here's how it would work. And I personally think that at least having it on the books that if you did want to go through this set of hoops, you could bring a complaint against the city with the hope that no one would ever do such a thing. But make it available.
Right. No, that makes sense. And it sounds, Pete, I have the sense that you've been on this commission for a long time. Is that accurate?
I think I am the longest serving at the moment.
Since the dinosaurs were roaming the
Yes.
earth. Yeah. So you probably do actually know the history of how it got changed to this form.
The interesting thing is I came on after most of the funky changes to this section got done. And when I went back to take a look at the history, and I'll include the references that I found, the changes, you can sort of see what happened. And that someone was cleaning up one section, but left a piece that now didn't have a reference. So the definitions declare, a respondent or, a person who could be a respondent includes governmental agencies. But now down at the bottom, it says other governmental agencies can't be done. Well, which governmental agency then is left over? And that was never the intention, but that's where we are.
Also, in terms of coverage, one of our important areas is housing as well. And there's an awful lot of private housing in our community.
Good
Right.
point.
And public accommodations.
Everybody doesn't live in the dorms here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, another public accommodation.
Yeah, it seems like outreach to students around the housing would be a big one.
Yep.
Right, exactly.
Thank you. Sorry to,
No,
as the
not at all.
newbie, I could just
We're
ask
all
all the
learning
dumb
about
questions.
this.
No,
And
glad
be
to
the
catch
official
everybody
dumb
up on
question
it.
asker.
And we'll, like I said, Dan and I are going to get a report together, and hopefully it will have more than enough detail to keep you busy.
Okay. Florence, I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself a little bit later, so we can get to know you. Okay, that concludes unfinished business. New business, we have the EEO workforce statistics. And in this particular case, we don't have our nice little spreadsheet from our officer, but we do have the information about the different companies that are needing approval. And I looked at those. I hope some others of you did as well. My impression was that there are at least two that are too small, but that most of the statistics in terms of diversity were fairly good in this group of companies. The only one I would say Farnsworth, perhaps only in 1 year, and possibly the others 2 years, but I'd be interested in other people's opinions about these companies, if we want to try and approve them without our officer. Carol, yes.
Yes, so I made a list and I had question marks next to Farnsworth too, except for I had Farmsworth, which is, it's not right, it's an N. But the others I had Gov Temps, USA LLC, very small. Resource Management Associate is small. And then the Electronic Data Corporation, small. Tyler Techs, I thought their numbers were good. And Carl was so huge, but it had really good, actually kind of surprised me, good numbers as well. So the only one that I had a question mark about was Farnsworth as well.
Right. Yeah. Anybody else?
So what is, remind me, our lower number for small?
Oh, it's 15, I believe.
15 employees. So even electronic data collection and what's this one? GovTemps are big enough that we should review them, that they don't get the automatic 2 years.
Yes, I thought GovTemps looked like it had a high enough percentage.
Yeah, they have 49 employees total, and electronic data has 19 employees total. So just over.
Yeah. Let me take another look at that.
Yeah, and I looked at those numbers for electronic data I had approved next to it. I don't know why. But the others, and resource management. So, yeah.
Yeah, so
I think
resource management is definitely too small to anything of.
I thought the other statistics on the others looked pretty good, with the exception of Farnsworth.
EDC has, 14 white men. Well, they didn't fill in, so I will assume they didn't fill in any of the numbers. So maybe with EDC, we have to send it back to them because they didn't indicate the the makeup at all.
I must have
Yeah, I
missed
noticed that too. It was all blank. Was there something else they sent in? Elizabeth was,
Oh, I didn't notice that until I looked at it just today, but we can certainly send it back and then bring it for next month. Tell them that it shouldn't be with 19 employees. How hard can it be to provide
Yeah.
that information? Shouldn't be complicated.
Right. Okay. Do we have a motion? I'm assuming we're empowered to make make these decisions. Okay. Do you have a motion regarding the approvals for this group of candidates?
so just for clarification purposes, we're just looking, we're not gonna, is the recommendation that we're gonna send the information back to EDC that we need them
Yeah.
to complete, fill in more data, and then 1 year for Farnsworth and was it GovTemps?
Yes.
And then 2
Right.
years
And
for the
Tyler.
others? Or we automatically going to do 1 year for resource management because they're
Resource management gets 2 year just because
okay.
they're so small.
Okay.
So we've got Tyler, Farnsworth, GovTemps, and did I miss one?
Carl.
Carl.
Oh, Carl.
And we're doing 2 years for Carl.
I think so. I mean, their numbers seem good enough to me.
You have the motion, Carol?
I think so. I'll give it a go.
All right.
I usually leave that to you, Pete.
No. Usually I
Okay.
have a spreadsheet in front of me so I can take it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I make a motion that we approve Carl Hospital Resource Management Associates and Tyler Technologies for a 2-year contract, that we approve Farnsworth and GovTemps USA LLC for 1-year contracts, and that we send back a letter to Electronic Data Corporation indicating that we need them to fill in missing information.
That sounds good.
How'd I do, Pete?
Excellent. Seconded.
Thank
All
you.
right. Motion by
I
Carol
love not being the only numbers geek of the bunch. That's good.
and Pete, seconded by Pete. I thought maybe we had considered, now's time for some discussion. I thought maybe we had considered GovTemps for 2 years.
So
Not so?
GovTemps,
They're about 16%. So it's kind of.
they are 5 out of 49
Oh, only 5? Okay.
of African American, 2 Hispanic. Okay, so we've got 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 49.
Yeah.
Which
and
is,
I had, yeah. Go
which is
ahead,
what
Pete.
percent?
16, I think, roughly.
That sounds right.
8 out of 49 is 16.3%.
I did this earlier in the day. Yeah, it's about 16%. So it's kind of borderline.
It's right on the line there.
Mhm.
I mean, where are they located?
I don't have that information.
North.
Was it up in northern
Yeah, North
Tinley
Brooklyn.
Park or something?
Yeah, they're Chicago metro area.
Yeah,
Okay.
which you'd think would give them an opportunity to have wider hiring practices.
1 year's a pretty good. Yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up because it had gone both ways in discussion.
So, and this is probably, and I don't know, Elizabeth, whether you want to delay this. So normally 2-year approvals are just approvals. 1 year, 6-month approvals involve sending a letter off, and hopefully there's a form letter that you've got to the company saying, we looked at the numbers, we have some concerns, we were wondering if you could send additional information about how you're trying to meet goals or whatever it is. But that you are approved for 1 year, pending that information.
I'm sure between the two of us, Tamara and I can figure that out.
Okay,
Okay.
We do have those. We do have a form letter for that.
excellent, excellent. Okay.
Good. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Okay, let's have a vote.
Carol Bradford,
Yes.
Stacy Burnett, Florence Kaplow,
Yes.
Daniel Larson,
Yes.
Peter Resnick,
Yes?
Francis Rigberg.
Yes.
Actually, I meant to abstain. Sorry, because I don't really understand how this system works yet. So I was just going with crowd there momentarily. So
Well, you're going to be swept in as an abstention because
Yeah.
the ayes have it.
yeah,
Okay.
but I mean, I just felt like to say yes when I don't have a
Understand.
clue about yet how you measured these things.
Okay.
It felt more appropriate.
Understood.
By the way, so Stacy's gone.
Yes, she
Yeah,
seems
she dropped off the call.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's it for the workforce statistics. We move on to staff report from Elizabeth. Whoops, you're muted.
Sorry, I may never get used to Zoom meetings. So in terms of contacts, and this goes back to August 3rd when I started taking these calls, I've had 7 contacts during that period. So people that I've had phone conversations with, sometimes more than once. 3 of those were related to housing, and none of those were really pursued. One call was really just about concern about a particular caseworker at the housing authority, which I referred back to the housing authority. It wasn't a discrimination issue. One of them was involving properties that were not located in the city of Urbana. And the third one, there may have been an issue, but the question came from a person who was looking to sublease, and the issue, if discrimination occurred there, the person who was looking to sublease was not the person who was affected by that. It would have been it wouldn't have been the current lessee. It would have been the person who was looking to sublease who declined to pursue that. So 4 calls were related to employment discrimination. 3 of those, I thought there was enough there to refer them over to IDHR, so I provided that contact information. And one of them, I just could not, we talked about, protected classes. I could not find any basis that there was any discrimination there. And I explained that to the person, and I think she understood that. She may have an issue with her employer, but it's not an issue of discrimination. So those were the contacts that we've had over roughly the last month, and I'll continue to keep track of those. And I will also make sure to ask people, how they came to contact us, so we can kind of gauge the effectiveness of the advertising. In terms of the HRO position, we have updated the job description. We have reviewed the classification. We will be moving the pay grade a little bit higher, as we think that's consistent with the responsibilities of the position. That I think that will be a full-time position going forward. So we are working on the recruitment plan currently, and it's definitely a high priority for the mayor, but we have a lot of recruitments going on right now. We will probably explore using an outside agency to help with the recruitment, because we want to make sure that we have a very well qualified pool of applicants. And so we probably will do that, just not that we won't be doing all of our usual efforts, but just to kind of cast a little bit broader net on the search. So, but I think I'm going to be probably with you for a few months until we get that completed. So.
Okay. Thank you so much for stepping up, by the way. I mean, for doing everything you're doing.
I'm happy to help. So
appreciate it.
If you ever come up with something that you need help with, feel free to call me.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Elizabeth?
Just 2 quick ones. With the folks that you're referring to IDHR or elsewhere, Are you letting them know that part of the reason you're doing that is because we're short-staffed and that would probably be the easier mode?
Correct. I explained to each of them that I thought that was probably the most, the best way for them to get a timely response.
Good.
Right, yes. And I was also screening to make sure, I'm not sure if I explained this, but Vasily and I had some extensive conversations before she left, and we talked about the fact that there are some protected classes under our ordinance that are not covered by those other agencies. And so if we find one of those, I will pull all the resources I can find internally to try and make sure that we give an appropriate response.
Great. And the only other question I had, as you said you were still developing the recruitment plan for HRO, will we be able to give any input on job description or anything like that?
So I'm not actually the person who's working on the recruitment, but I can certainly ask about that. I think that would be appropriate. So
great.
Let me talk to Liz Borman, who's working on the recruitment.
Sounds great. Yes, Florence.
I just want to add, in terms of the recruitment, this is something we're working with as a church and also as a larger association, is some of the traditional forms of recruiting actually actively end up discouraging in one way or another people of color from being included. So I know that progressive organizations are looking at alternate forms of recruitment, and especially if you're going with an outside agency, maybe an outside agency that kind of specializes in reaching people who are underrepresented generally in recruitment might be something to look into.
Yeah, certainly. We probably
seems appropriate for this job.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's one thing we'll be looking to accomplish. We probably will not, we're not going to outsource the whole recruitment. That doesn't fit within our budget, and we're not sure that we need that, but just some of the kind of outreach part of it to make sure we're getting a good pool.
Yeah, because I think it's pretty well accepted that traditional, outreach is not necessarily the way to increase your diversity of your pool.
Right.
Well, with respect to that, actually, last week I took part in the interviewing of the community engagement coordinator position, and we had some wonderful candidates, and it was really exciting and inspiring, and I look forward to that position being filled with one of these wonderful people. And now I'm more familiar with that job and what an ally that position is to our work in this commission. So that's all good, and I look forward to having our own officer again as well. So thank you very much, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I'd like to have a few words from Florence if she'd like to introduce herself to us.
Sure, and it would be great, actually, it may be a round of introductions so I can know my fellow commissioners.
Oh, certainly.
So, so I'm Florence Kaplow. I've been in Champaign-Urbana about 3 years. I'm an Urbana resident in West Urbana. I serve as the lead minister for the Unitarian Universalist Church on Green Street. This is very much, being on this commission is actually very much in alignment with the kind of, my own personal justice leanings and that of my congregation. And I, was very open about that when I met with the mayor. Just happy to serve. It feels good to be connected to something very, very much local and hopefully, helpful in some way. So.
Well, welcome. We're very happy to have you. We have a great ordinance. Now we just have to go out there and make it as effective as it can be. Yeah. Well, Florence has suggested we all say something, so we can do that.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Frances Friedberg, and I'm been a resident of Urbana since 1977. My background is in philosophy, but I have spent most of my life as a technical writer and editor in industry and at the university. I'm retired now. And this work on this commission has been very satisfying for me. I've been here about 10 years. And that's it. We can go around. Carol, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Carol Bradford. This is my second stint on the commission, so I don't know how many years. I came to this community as a grad student and ended up staying here and raising my family, so a little over, I guess, around 30 years, something like that. And I am currently a clinical coordinator for outpatient substance abuse treatment services at Rosecrans here in Central Illinois, and primarily working with mental health and substance abuse, so dual diagnosis. And I have a very diverse team. I actually have one program that's a gun violence deterrence program, so I do a little bit of, I guess I'm a Jill of all trades. Prior to that, I worked for 22 years in child welfare. So I enjoy being on the commission because I can relate a lot to some of the different types of folks that we get calls from, having experienced housing discrimination and things of that sort. So I really enjoy it. We've got some really great people on the commission that are very knowledgeable. I've learned a lot and grown personally from being a part of this commission, and just enjoy the focus. And looking forward to us, doing a lot more creative things to get the word out there. So that's exciting as well. It's been a long time since we've actually had a hearing, so I'm not wishing one on us, but that's also part of what we do as well. But it's been very interesting. I've learned a lot. So welcome aboard. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Daniel, would you like to speak?
Hello, Daniel Pearson. I've lived here most of my life, born here and been away a few times and back. I've been a college instructor of kind of public speaking and some sort of writing classes at the university in Parkland, and I think I'm the second longest member of the commission. Still processing what we heard earlier. I've been very proud to be a part of this commission. I don't think we're given enough credit for, I think we're a free thinking group. We are not, well, sorry, anyway, it's very nice to have you. I'm so glad you're joining us, and I hope you'll have a similar experience to mine. It's been very fulfilling. So nice to meet you, and thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Daniel. Pete?
Yeah, I went and took a look.
Our vice chair.
I went and took a look, and I've actually been on the commission since 2003, and have been through at least 3 hearings. So not an exciting time, but it's what we do. I am also came out here for graduate school, also in philosophy, and ended up doing computer stuff for a career, and I'm now doing consulting in internet technologies. What else? I'm on the board of the local rape crisis center here in town, and I do Tai Chi when my old bones aren't hurting too much, and do scuba diving whenever I can, and I teach scuba diving a bit. So, yeah, and I think the kinds of things we have the opportunity to do on the commission are just really, it's beyond the hearings, which do happen and they're unpleasant but need to be done. But we really have the opportunity to address issues in ways that couldn't otherwise. So welcome. And I am, as you found out, the resident ordinance geek, son of a
And
lawyer.
parliamentarian.
Yes, it's the curse of being the son of an attorney, and I will use it for good as much as I can.
So I just have to say that the first half of my undergrad, I was also a philosophy major. So, but you know, if you think about it, there's a really strong thing about ethics, right? It kind of makes sense. Analytical thinking.
Yep.
So anyway, it's kind of funny where old philosophers go to
Well,
cogitate.
we have to put Kant on the agenda somehow. I know. Okay.
And
Tamara?
then, yeah, I was
I'm
hoping,
sorry,
yeah,
go
the
ahead.
two staff people. That's what I was hoping that you would introduce. They
Yes,
could
of
introduce.
course. Hi, Tamara.
Hi, I am Tamara Corbin. I am somewhat new to Urbana. I've been here a couple of years, but I have been working with this city for almost 2 years now, but just recently moved to this department. So I've been in human resources finance for a little under 6 months, I think. So, but I enjoy it so far, and I am having a great time in Urbana.
Welcome. Thank you, Tamara. And Elizabeth?
Sorry, I was never a philosophy major. And I'm Elizabeth Hannon. I'm actually the Human Resources and Finance Director, just kind of temporarily standing in to staff this committee. So, but my normal day job is different. I live in Urbana. I've been working for the city for close to 6 years now, and prior to that, I worked for another city in the immediate area for 25 years. So
Wow. Well, here we all are. And I think we're completed our business. Thank you all for coming. We made some good progress, and I will see you all next month. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.